Big day. We've had an entire 24 hours to let the DeAndre Hopkins news settle, but now we have Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, as well as Tony Pollard, all not coming to deals. So all of a sudden, this possibility of a holdout becomes a little more realistic. Now, Pollard's already signed the franchise tag. Jacobs and Barkley have not. Now, y'all know I've been drafting the hell out of Saquon Barkley, and I may not stop, but let's go ahead and let's get in a fantasy football draft, ladies and gentlemen. This draft we are going to get in right here will be the Fast Puppy. This is the $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. First place prize, $75,000. Second place prize, $40,000. Third place, $25,000. Fourth place, $20,000. All the way down the line. We actually had a member of the flock win this for $75,000 last year. That was Nick. Don't know if he's hanging out with us in the chat right now, but regardless, let's go ahead and let's get in this draft here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm assuming we're going to be going up against a lot of y'all. Hopefully we have a decent pick, and we do. We are going to get the 104 here. So 104, we're essentially going to go ahead and queue these guys up. I will take Tyreek Hill over Cooper Kupp, but thank you so much, everybody coming out with us, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate you. Josh says, do you think we'll see a Saquon dip? We'll see. I'll tell you, if Saquon Barkley makes it to us in the second round, I'm probably taking Saquon Barkley. But Zach coming out with a donation. Happy to see you. My man says, Superflex Dynasty League, 10 people. We have the 106. Do I take Jefferson and a young quarterback in the second round and take Fields then a wide receiver in the second? If you have pick 6, I think you do neither. If you have pick 6, my friend, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and take Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence. I would rank the top 6 players in a Dynasty Superflex format as Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence. Not going to take Jefferson. Not going to be taking Fields either, my friend. But let's get this going. Jefferson Chase off the board. Let's see. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Tyreek Hill over Cooper Kupp. I know a lot of people are doing the opposite, but hell, I like me some Tyreek Hill. I like this Miami Dolphins offense, and I will continue to take these guys. But we have Cody coming out, says, rate it at pick 4. Hill, Olave, Henry, DJ. Okay, yeah. If this is my start, my friend, I could not be more excited. If we're able to go through and go Hill, Olave, Henry, Moore, Burrow, Akers, I will be very, very excited about that, my friend. But we have Diggs, Kupp off the board. Super rare to see Cooper Kupp make it all the way down to pick 6. Really surprising to see that. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I've saved sparkling waters for this live stream. Y'all know I'm a little bit of a sparkling water kick right now. I've been having like 5 or 6 of these a day. I'm cutting myself at 6 off a day. So I've only had 2. That means I've saved us 2 for this live stream. Let's get this sparkling water going. Okay. Now we have Kelsey off 7, AJ Brown off at 8. Now, please let me know if you are in this live draft with us. And if you are, let me know what pick you are at. I know we got Saram in here at 10. Firestarter, also a member of the flock, in at 9. But let me know if you are also in this draft with us, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Rom out here, happy to see you. Joey, happy to see you, my friend. SARS out here with us at pick 8 as well. Thank you for coming to draft with us, my friend. And of course, real quick, if you want to get in a draft with us, we are doing this literally every single day on the live stream. Not going to miss a single day until 2023. And if you want to get in a draft with us, you can find that link in the comment section in the description. Now I would say is the best time to get on Underdog Fantasy, because if you're new, I would definitely recommend this tournament, which is the $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. That way, if you deposit $10, say you immediately have 20 in your account, you can go and fire up 4 of these practice drafts, getting ready for your main draft this upcoming year. And if you use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. We'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the year. That's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last season. It's available in all of these states in yellow, plus everywhere in Canada but Ontario. And also now is the best time to get on Underdog because they have this free Patrick Mahomes line up until, I believe, July 22nd. So make sure you're taking advantage of that before it's too late. But Eduardo coming out says, Dynasty Burks and a future second for Nick Chubb. Do I take Nick Chubb? If you're a contending team, yes, take Nick Chubb. I do not mind at all selling low on Treylon Burks. I've seen a million people going out there and screaming, oh, buy Treylon Burks low, buy Treylon. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know. I'm probably going to take the opposite side of that and say, okay, well, if you have Hopkins coming over, Hopkins, who can average 25 to 30% of his team's offense on a per game basis, I probably want to be avoiding the wide receiver 2 for Ryan Tannehill. Pollard off the board. Inrad on the clock. Let's see if they take the falling Saquon Barkley. Okay, let me see. Derrick Henry goes. Yeah, so Derrick Henry before Saquon Barkley. Yeah, so Barkley, no extension. Despite that, I'm going to continue to draft Saquon Barkley. I was listening to a podcast with Barkley. I usually don't, I think it's maybe a new podcast. I usually don't listen to this, and I'm not a Bitcoin guy, but it's like a Bitcoin podcast. I listened to the first episode because it had Jack Dorsey, and I like listening to like CEOs just talk about their overall mindset, like people that have been able to create cool things. But episode 2 had Saquon Barkley on it, and it premiered earlier today on YouTube. So I actually watched that. Barkley did not sound happy with the Giants, but he did not sound like he was not going to play. So I don't know. Getting Barkley here as like the running back, 7, 8? I'm completely fine with it. And I'm going to go ahead and take Allen. I'll try to save a little bit of face and not take both options that are not getting contract extensions and possibly have that risk to hold out, but I don't know. Okay. Now, Landon says, Mason, you got to get a sparkling water company to sponsor you. You're telling me. If y'all have a connection to a sparkling water company, as of today, I am not brand loyal. But the second a sponsor comes through, whether that's Waterloo, I am Austin native, if you want to hook me up there. Whether it's LaCroix, whether it's a Topo Chico, I can be brand loyal at a low, low price. Okay. Now, Alexander has a connect. Alexander, my man. Please send that little clip to whoever your connect is at a local sparkling water place. But Calvin Ridley off 29, Josh Jacobs off 30, DK Metcalf 31. Alex says, have you tried Liquid Death? I was actually at Rogan's Comedy Club last week. This whenever I saw Chappelle. And I ordered 2 Liquid Deaths because y'all know I'm not drinking, training for the Ironman. And I was excited because I thought they were sparkling waters. And I opened it up. And it was just straight water, like from the tap. And it was like $8 too. I was like, okay. Little disappointing. But Andrew's off the board 32. Jacobs makes it down to 30. I'm trying to think so far. What teams really stand out from the crowd here? I'd say that team at 1, pretty unique, going Jefferson, Mahomes, Hall. I hate to say this, and usually I don't. Usually we're able to find a team that I like more than our own. But I would be very biased to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think my favorite team is the combo of Tyreek Hill, Saquon Barkley, Josh Allen. I think we potentially have the wide receiver 1 overall. I think we potentially have the running back 1 overall and the quarterback 1 overall on the same roster. Matt says he loves Team 6. Let me know in the live chat, who is your favorite team in this draft? So Matt's going Team 6 with Cup, Pollard, Jacobs. Maybe my brain's broken. Maybe I'm just unwilling to admit defeat and adjust my rankings when I should. But I have a very hard time saying, yeah, I want to take Tony Pollard over Saquon Barkley. I don't know. Drami says Team 6 as well. Donald says Team 6. Adam likes Team 9. Team 9's rolling with Lamb, Adams, Lamar. I honestly like Team 9 as well. But Carson says, how are we feeling about the first 5 rounds of this draft? Chase, Saquon, Jacobs, Kirk, Burrow. I really like it. I'm not a super big Kirk guy. I think now if you get the ability to possibly go Mixon there, I'd probably mix in Mixon instead. That's pretty kind of funny to say. Mixon. But outside of that, I do love the combo of Chase, Saquon, Jacobs out the gate there, my friend. Okay. Now we have Najee Harris off the board at 39. Zabrika says Team 11 could be amazing if Detroit pops off this year. I still am amazed by the Detroit Lions hype train. Like, I understand the thought process for a lot of people to be excited about the Lions, but it's just so far overboard. I mean, I posted that short on YouTube earlier today talking about the 5 best wide receiver rooms in the NFL. Teams like the Seahawks, the Dolphins, the Bengals, the Vikings, the Eagles. And a comment was like, oh, yeah, no, the Lions can be right there when Jameson Williams comes back. You're comparing the Lions wide receiver core to the Miami Dolphins? Like, I don't know. I would bet anything the Detroit Lions don't win a playoff game this year. I don't know. Now we have Hopkins, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk off the board, 46, 47, 48. With Fields making to us at 52, in general, it always does make me a little bit upset that we decided to go ahead and take Allen. But no, never mind. Fields actually goes. And what's very interesting about that, and honestly, I don't know if I like it, that team decides to pair Fields up with DJ Moore rather than going Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow. Maybe it's a thing trying to get unique in comparison to the rest of the field. Maybe that's the thought process and why they're deciding to do that. Joe Burrow goes off the board. What's interesting about that is that team took Jalen Hurts as well and had no Cincinnati Bengals. We'll go ahead. We'll take Christian Kirk. I really like the tight ends and running backs in this range. Like, I really like grabbing a TJ Hawkinson here. But in general, I think that when we go with only one wide receiver through the first 3 rounds, we're probably incentivized to make sure that we're grabbing our wide receivers on Underdog before they're completely gone. Now, what's also going to be interesting is if we take Christian Kirk here at 52, if we decide to take Lawrence if he falls. Now, I don't think we would take Lawrence at 69, but possibly Lawrence at 76 could be in play. Okay. Kenneth Walker off the board at 54. Kenneth Walker, I still love the price point here. What's super interesting now is seeing Joe Mixon go off the board there at 38. Did not even notice that happening, but I mean, I can't blame anybody at all for taking Joe Mixon. Like, if you're looking at the fact that Mixon restructures his deal and is now guaranteed to be in Cincinnati, and this is coming from the guy who literally said 3 days ago before that deal was restructured that I'd rather have Kenneth Walker over Joe Mixon. Now, at this point, I can't blame anybody for taking Joe Mixon there. I have to completely do a 180 and take a massive L for ranking Kenneth Walker over Joe Mixon earlier in the year. Yeah, and Henry's saying all those Mixon round 7 shares in April. I did like Mixon a lot round 7 and round 6, but it was once Mixon got to like the beginning of round 5, the late round 4 range before the contract extension is when I stopped taking him. I was like, okay, at this price, seemed very aggressive for no real news with Mixon. Like, he hasn't done the deal yet, but now that that's in the books, I mean, you have to be so optimistic about Joe Mixon going into this next year. Okay, so Hawkinson off the board, 59. Love the Hawkinson value. Matt says, I hate Deontay Johnson's price. James says the same thing. I'm right there with you. With Deontay Johnson, he has an ADP where he is neck and neck with Justin Herbert. I will take literally 0 Deontay Johnson in this range. Like, to take Deontay Johnson over TJ Hawkinson, in my mind, I would just never be able to do that. I don't know. Okay. We have Kittle off the board at 60. I wonder if that team that took Hawkinson there would have double tapped the tight end position and gotten Kittle at 62 if he would have made it. Henry says Deontay Johnson had an ADP of 80 early this year. What a rise. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at Deontay, I agree, pick 80, you should have been taking him. And I agree Deontay Johnson should be ahead of George Pickens. But what you've seen so far in fantasy this year is Pickens plummet while Deontay Johnson has skyrocketed to a point where, in my mind, George Pickens is now the value and Deontay Johnson is now being overdrafted. But that Vietnamese guy, long time, remember the vlog, says, I need some advice, Mason. I'm in a redraft league where each rushing attempt's worth a third of a point. How should I prioritize my draft? Like, for workhorses, are they boosted massively? Top 10 players. 100%. If you're playing in a point per carry format that's anything more than 0.2 points per carry, all of a sudden you are essentially behind the 8 ball if you are doing anything else other than just going ahead and putting running backs into your flex spot over and over and over again. In a format like this, you are going to have running backs in your flex. They're going to make up a significantly higher percentage of your starting lineup output than pretty much any other position. So yeah, I'm going to be pushing up both the guys at the very top, and I'm also going to be pushing up the middle round guys as well, because the studs are going to make up a higher percentage of your starting lineup output. The middle round guys, you're more so going to want to put them in your flex spot. So in this kind of format, I'm probably going to be punting tight end. And another adjustment that you have to be making in this kind of point per carry league is, please don't forget, push up Lamar Jackson, push up Justin Fields. Make sure that those quarterbacks that are going to have a ton of rushing attempts as well, you are prioritizing them in drafts. But this is the exact situation we were talking about do we go ahead and press the button on Trevor Lawrence if he makes it to us at pick 76, having Christian Kirk? I think we probably do. Like I said, I wasn't going to take him in the 6th. There, we're still going to go ahead and we're going to take Mike Evans. Really liked Evans' value at that point. But considering the fact that we have Christian Kirk, even though we went quarterback round 3, I think we can get away with the Lawrence selection here, 10 picks past ADP. So let's see. Sinatire on the clock. They go, got it. We're going to go ahead and we are going to go in with Trevor Lawrence. But Johnny says, question about Underdog. I live in a state where it's unavailable, but if I go to a state where it's available in draft, will I get the money and keep the teams once I return to my home state? So here's my experience with that. So I've lived in the past few years in states that have Underdog Fantasy, Texas and Florida, and I've never really had to deal with this. Whenever I went from Texas to Florida, I was drafting Underdog teams pretty much all along the way. And during that drive, I went through Louisiana, and you'll see on this map, Louisiana is like literally the only state in a 500-mile radius there that doesn't have Underdog Fantasy. And you can open the app. It looks like everything is functional, but when you go to enter in a contest, it says you are in a state that does not allow you to draft an Underdog draft. Something along those lines. Not word for word. I'm sure someone else in the live chat will be able to help you more with that. I'm talking out of my ass here. But, okay. Matt says, why is Burks still being taken over Jordan Addison? I have no idea. I think Treylon Burks is a very bad draft pick in round 6. Don't ask me why Treylon Burks is going there. I literally have no idea, ladies and gentlemen. But give me 1 second. I'm turning on my fan. Okay, so Darren Waller off the board there, pick 82. I actually really like our team so far. Obviously, a lot hinging on Saquon Barkley, and if Barkley were to miss this upcoming season, then of course we just lose our $5. But at the end of the day, we are in a $5 buy-in, $75,000 tournament, okay? The expectation is we lose our $5. The expectation is we lose this tournament. But we are just trying to do anything we can to shoot for the ceiling, have the highest ceiling possible. That way the $75,000 is in reach. And if Saquon Barkley were to play this next year, then hell, I think that this team would have a shot. But we are going to have to look for some Buffalo Bills, considering the fact that we have Allen, we have no Diggs, we have no Gabe Davis. So if we're looking at the Bills, we have James Cook available to us, Damian Harris, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakir. Pretty much the only guys you're going to be looking at. Damian Harris doesn't really correlate with Josh Allen, so there's like really no reason for us to queue him there. But regardless, we're going to do it anyway. Kurt Joss says, Burks shareholders trying to cope that Hopkins is a good thing, like Flock prays for a Trey Lance redemption season. Okay. I didn't know we had to get personal there, my friend. Obviously joking, but Javonte Williams off the board there, pick 88. Tyler says, I took an unstacked Lawrence at pick 81 for the value. Am I wrong? No, I think if you have Lawrence making you at pick 81, even if you don't have Ridley, even if you don't have Christian Kirk, you need to go ahead. You need to take Lawrence. But then keep in mind, you're targeting Evan Ingram later. You are going to go ahead and target Zay Jones later. Lawrence doesn't have a lot of rushing upside, so I don't love taking unstacked Lawrence. But you have stacking options later on. And pick 81, you can make it work, right? In general, the guys that I'm fine going with unstacked are the quarterbacks that have a lot of rushing upside, where you can see a pretty big spike just off the rushing production. An example that would be Justin Fields. I don't care if I have a Justin Fields pass catcher. Lamar Jackson. I don't really care if I have a Lamar Jackson pass catcher. But with those pocket passing guys like Burrow, say like Justin Herbert, I really want to make sure I have one of their pass catchers. But we're going to take Dalvin Cook here, 93. I'm sorry, like we were saying previously, it's a $5 buy-in, $75,000 first place prize. I understand we're taking on some risk. We don't really know where Dalvin's going. Right now, the two favorites, according to Vegas Sportsbooks, are the New England Patriots as well as the Miami Dolphins. And if Dalvin were to go to Miami, Dalvin Cook is all of a sudden getting drafted in round 4 or round 5. So I think that we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a swing on a player that could see a massive shift in ADP. And that's the main thing that we're going to be looking for at this point. Okay, so Njoku off the board, 96. Henry says, please not New England, but yes to Miami. So selfishly, I would actually kind of be fine with Dalvin Cook going to Miami, because as it looks right now on paper, it looks like Ramondre Stevenson is a league-winning running back. Now, while I'm willing to say it looks like Ramondre Stevenson is a league-winning running back, I have not taken Ramondre Stevenson really at all, because I just have a little bit of an ick about the situation. I have a feeling the Patriots are going to bring in a veteran, whether that's Zeke, whether that's Fournette, whether that's Dalvin. So I've only drafted 4% Ramondre Stevenson. So selfishly, I'm kind of hoping that you do see Dalvin Cook go to New England, because I'm a little bit worried Ramondre Stevenson is going to crush the teams that I have not drafted him on. But let's go ahead. Let's take James Cook, pick 100. We have Allen. Generally, quarterback, running back combos don't stack that well. But, I mean, if anybody's going to, it's going to be the receiving down back in that backfield right with James Cook. He falls past ADP as an ADP of 94. We need a running back, so it seems like a natural spot to go ahead and take James Cook here. But let's go ahead. You have Anthony Richardson, Antonio Gibson, both off the board immediately after. But Mark Ward says, smash the like button, y'all. Let's get to 800 likes. Yes, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Help us get to 800. Hell, if we hit 800 likes, we're doing like 4 drafts this live stream. If we hit 350 likes, we're going to fire up another draft after this one. And of course, if y'all want to get in that next draft, Underdog Fantasy, that's where we're drafting every single day until 2024. You can find the link in the comment section, the description. Now is by far and away the best time to get on Underdog because they have the puppy tournament open, $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. A member of the flock won first place for $75,000 last year. So I'd say the lower stakes tournaments are what you want to get in if you are a new member of Underdog. And also, you want to check out Underdog now because they have that free Patrick Mahomes line up until July 22nd. So there's not a better time to hop in a draft and draft with us. No time commitment at all during the year since it's best ball. And of course, use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for a 100% deposit match up to $100, plus our 2023 fantasy football rankings at a free trial to flockfantasy.com. But now we have Kirk Cousins off the board, 109, Allen Lazard, 110. Neither player we are that excited about drafting, right? I mean, we're fine seeing these guys get drafted. Brian Robinson, on the other hand, is a running back that'll make it to you sometimes at the end of the 10th round, and I love that Brian Robinson value. So generally, it's hard for me to pass on Brian Robinson when he makes it there, and I don't like seeing Brian Robinson go this early because selfishly I want him, but let's move this over. And CJ, welcome to being a member of the flock. Super happy to have you, my friend. I think we have like 30-ish members out here on YouTube now, which is awesome. Thank you so much. Now we have Juju Smith-Schuster off the board, 113. Obviously, Juju has to rise now that you have him safe and sound with DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee, not coming to take his job. Now Rashad Penny off the board, 114. Odell Beckham Jr. goes. Quarterback's not in play for us, right? I was going to sit here and go, oh, can we take Geno Smith, blah, blah, blah. No, hell, it doesn't even matter that we don't have a Seattle Seahawks stack. The reason we can't take him is we already have Allen and Lawrence. We can't take another quarterback no matter what. This will be one of the very first drafts I take Samaje Perine. Y'all know in these drafts, we should be trying to shoot for the highest ceiling possible in weeks 15, 16, and 17. That's when that fantasy football playoff tournament is, when those massive prizes are up for grabs. So I've drafted a lot of Javonte Williams on Underdog this year. I drafted pretty much 0 Samaje Perine. Let me pull this up now and see how much Perine I've drafted. I've drafted 2% Samaje Perine. So very, very little. If I am going to take him, it's when I need a running back and he falls. What? This was 12 picks past ADP. So, I don't know. I know there are some crazy people out there that like Samaje Perine for whatever that reason is, but it's not me. Okay, now let's move this around. We are running back, wide receiver, tight ends. Just anything but QB. So our quarterbacks are Allen and Lawrence. Our running backs are Saquon, Dalvin, James Cook, Samaje Perine. Our wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, and Mike Evans. Okay. Let's see, Romeo Doubs off the board at 121. Zay Jones definitely in play for us here, right? I mean, we have Lawrence. Yeah, so we're probably going to go ahead and take Zay Jones. Honestly, none of these options in this range are that exciting, right? Like, it's not like passing on Nico Collins is something that I'm sad about. I don't know what the realistic upside is for Nico Collins. So taking Jones there at 124, it just makes the roster construction make sense. We need a wide receiver. He correlates with Trevor Lawrence. We're getting him a couple picks past ADP. It's not like we're reaching on him. There are no other guys here that I'd be really excited to draft. Like, if Khalil Herbert would have made it to us, honestly, I maybe would have ignored the possibility of us needing to grab that stack, and I would have been like, oh, okay, I like Khalil Herbert in this range, so let me draft him. But I just don't really have any hesitation whenever our other options, Nico Collins. Like, what's the excitement in taking Nico Collins? Okay. Jared Goff off the board at 126. For us to see purple go, best case scenario. We're going to see as many quarterbacks get drafted as possible. Caesar says, Mason, for the tournaments you won last year, did you get any insane values? I feel like I don't have a chance unless I get a few good values. So I can't answer this off the top of my head. You know, those tournaments we won on Underdog last year, once we get to August, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make videos breaking those teams down. I'll title it like, I won $100,000 with this fantasy football team. And then the next tournament, I won $20,000 with this fantasy football team. And then Best Ball Mania, I'll be like, I won $10,000 with this fantasy football team. So I will make videos breaking those down. What's really nice is the one that I won $100,000 on Underdog last year, I streamed that team. So we're going to be able to see exactly what the ADP was for the players and exactly where I took them in the draft. Knowing myself, I was probably getting them at a value. I doubt I was going out of our way and reaching on those guys, but I can't say off the top of my head, my friend. Now, Jalen Warren off the board. Jalen Warren in the drafts we were in yesterday was falling like a rock. Okay, let's swing this back around. Kincaid definitely a play for us here, considering the fact that we have Josh Allen, of course. No, now Kincaid goes to Saram. Can't blame him for taking the guy. I mean, it is what it is, right? Okay. What's actually funny is y'all know Jacobs was my most drafted player, right? And Jacobs was arguably the biggest league winner last year. I don't think Jacobs was on any of our tournament winning teams, which is crazy to think about, right? Because Jacobs didn't have a great final 3-week stretch. So we could have had an even better year if Josh Jacobs would have dominated weeks 15, 16, 17. I could be mistaken, but off the top of my head, I know the team that won us the big dog for 100,000 had A.J. Brown and we're going to take Rondale Moore here. Not going to think about this one too much. Had A.J. Brown and Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was the guy that in week 17 came through massively for us last year. And I mean, we were going up. If y'all remember week 17 last year, it was like Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, both dropping like 40 freaking points. And in that tournament, I did not have Devontae Adams, and a couple other teams I was going up against in that final week had Adams. And I was the only person with Christian McCaffrey, and they were playing each other, and that game was going to overtime. So it was a wild game. Like, that game was life-changing for me in a couple different ways. Okay, let's move this around. Van Jefferson off the board, 144. Josh only has 2 backs with Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco, so wouldn't be too surprised to see him go running back here. ER7 says, do you have to report your winnings to your taxes, or does Underdog do that when you withdraw? No, so when I withdrew from Underdog, I just straight withdrew 150, and then I have to report it in taxes. Like, I think Underdog sends you a form, if I remember correctly, that is like you have to pay that in taxes. But yeah, you withdraw all the money, and then it's up to you to pay the taxes. I believe I was sent a form. Okay. Now let's see. Everett goes 146. Going to get a strong value here almost regardless. We're going to continue to just take Jacksonville Jaguars here. We're going to have Tank Bigsby, 7 picks past ADP to pair up with Lawrence. Haven't drafted a lot of Bigsby lately. Y'all know I'm a massive fan of taking round 4 Travis Etienne, but nonetheless, we're making a bet that the Jacksonville Jaguars are a top 3 offense in the NFL this next year. We need a running back. We're getting him at a pretty strong value at the same time. So let's go ahead and Let's take Bigsby 148. I really like our team. I think it's a very unique team, having like the Jacksonville Jaguars onslaught while having Josh Allen at the same time, but getting these guys at pretty massive values. So I really like this. Zachary says anything over $600 profit is taxable. Okay. There we go. I cannot confirm nor deny what Zachary is saying, but you definitely do your own research, but sounds right. Sounds right. Okay. So team says, are you doing any slow puppies just to be in the tournament? I know you don't like slow. No, I'm not doing that. So with these underdog tournaments, I literally just do what I want to. Like, it's not like, and I would recommend you do the same. This is meant to be fun, right? So underdog drop like the fast puppy, which is a 30-second timer. So you go through and you sit down and you do all your draft at once. They launched a slow puppy as well, which has an 8-hour timer. So a lot of people enter like 30 drafts and then do them over the course of a week. So I am probably not going to enter a single team into this draft, right? I don't like slow drafts. I know some people love them. Some people prefer them over fast drafts. I prefer fast drafts, and I don't really care if I don't have a team in that tournament. It's not like I need to win every tournament, right? More so doing this for fun. I have fun doing fast drafts. I don't have a lot of fun doing slow drafts. So no, I'm not going to do that. Vince saying Zach is confusing a subcontractor with gambling. You get a 1099G for any net gambling winnings from an organization. Okay, I'm assuming that's the form Underdog sent me. Like I said, all I know is I got a tax form and I have to pay taxes. That's all I know. Now, let's move this down. Now, Football Kid Go Lions says, dude, I just saw your perdition for the Lions. You are cat, bro. Okay, well, Football Kid Lions, you don't sound any bias. You don't sound like you have any bias for the Detroit Lions. So I'm going to take your opinion and hold it to a very high value, and I'm going to reevaluate my stance. So thank you for your input, my friend. I really appreciate it. Okay. Now, at this point, I literally have no idea who to freaking draft. Tight ends don't look that interesting. I don't even know if we want another running back. Obviously, we can't go quarterback. Do we just go Shaheed? When in doubt, take a wide receiver. I know for a damn fact we're going to need another wide receiver. I don't know if we're going to need another running back or not. So, yeah, let's take Shaheed here. And let me move this down. And what sucks is I don't know what to do with this next pick either, right? If I didn't know what to do with this one, how the hell am I supposed to know what to do with the next one? I like this comment. Hold up. Let Lions Kid cook. Yes. That's pretty funny, my friend. Okay. Rusty says, if you win your draft while you're on a riverboat, can you tell Underdog you were tax-free while in it? I doubt it. I don't think it works that way, especially when you have to enter in the contest in the state. Okay. Now, I honestly think we go Juwan Johnson because I know no matter what, we're going to need a tight end. We just made that bet on Shaheed with this New Orleans Saints passing offense, so maybe we get a little bit of correlation here in case the Saints are better than people expect, or maybe if Chris Olave goes down due to injury, right? Maybe if Taysom Hill isn't involved at all. There are a couple different ways that this could work out. All I know is I need a tight end. He's highest ranked according to ADP with tight ends. We'll balance our exposures here a bit. So yeah, we're definitely going to need to go 2 more tight ends in this draft as well. Now, David coming out says, 10-team start 3 wide receivers, keeping Garrett Wilson in the 11th, Tyreek being kept, rest of the first round as standard players. Do I take the 4th pick or drop down to 8 to 10 range. Okay. So we're being told that the first round is the same as we should expect in a regular redraft league minus Tyreek Hill. 10 teams start 3 wide receivers. It's not a league where you need to really incentivize grabbing a receiver. Because, I mean, in reality, you're going to be starting 30 wide receivers across the league. It's a little bit similar to like a 12-team league start 2. You don't have to go super deep at wide receiver. If we were to grab that 4th pick, you are going to be locking yourself up with one of CMC, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Austin Eckler, Bijan Robinson, whoever you want there. So, honestly, I'm probably going to take the 4th pick there, my man. It's not the easiest thought in the world, but I think we are. And congrats on getting Garrett Wilson in the 11th round. I mean, that's phenomenal. Okay. Now, Brock Purdy off the board at pick 80. And after we make our next 2 selections, we are going to go ahead and hop into our next draft, ladies and gentlemen. Now, sucks for us to see these quarterbacks falling when we clearly cannot take another quarterback when we have Allen and Lawrence. I think no matter what, we are going to have to take 2 more tight ends. I mean, our only tight end is Juwan Johnson. And then I think that last spot that we have, we can either go with a 6th running back. We can go with an 8th wide receiver. Pretty much whatever we're wanting to see, right? I mean, whatever we believe the value is. So clearly when we have Josh Allen at quarterback and we only have Juwan Johnson at tight end, we are hoping that we get Dawson Knox making it to us here. That's the dream, right? By no means is it a guarantee, but that's what we're hoping for. Dawson Knox goes 186. That is very sad. Very, very sad. Okay. Jordan Love off the board. Finally, this other team only has 1 quarterback, so I assume maybe they go QB. Their 1 quarterback being Deshaun Watson. Stroud goes. So all the teams behind us already have 2 tight ends. So we're going to go ahead and take Chuba Hubbard because I'm going to take this question as a sign from FF Addict. Says, do you take deep running back handcuffs if they are at their ADP? So in general, I will take backup running backs on Underdog if we get them at a value. And in general, I'm not targeting my own handcuffs. I would be more excited about taking Chuba Hubbard when I don't have Miles Sanders than I am when I have Miles Sanders. The reason being is if you are taking Chuba Hubbard, you are making a bet that Miles Sanders gets hurt. And if Miles Sanders were to get hurt, do you think you can turn your $5 into $75,000? Probably not. So I would be more excited about taking these backup handcuff running backs when I don't have the starter on my roster. I will take someone like Chuba Hubbard at this price point, but yeah, let's do it. And Chris says, opinion on the state of running back contracts in the NFL. I mean, it seems very bad for running backs. It seems very understandable for teams. I think the Giants are funny. I tweeted this out. I said, it's funny that they are willing to say running backs matter when they take a running back 2nd overall, but then they're not willing to pay said running back. Obviously, different front office, but at the same time, same ownership. So I can see where both sides are coming from. And I think just in general, what players need to do is realize, don't be a running back. And I know it's sad to say, right? But it's the same question like, should teachers be paid more money? Probably. But at the same time, like, you know what you're signing up for when you're being a teacher. Like, you know what I mean? I say that my dad's a teacher. I'm just using that as an example. It's like, I don't think it's really up to me to come out here and say what a position should make versus what they are making. I don't know if Brandon says, that's so dumb. Why do wide receiver threes make as much as running backs? See, in my mind, I'm not willing to say I know more than NFL general managers. And like, I think the future generation, now that they're seeing this, if say you have the talent of Christian McCaffrey, you have the talent of Saquon Barkley, don't be a running back. Instead, go be a wide receiver and turn into Christian Kirk. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's a little bit too late for those guys to do that now. But if you're a kid in high school, the last thing you should be wanting to do is line up at the running back position. Okay. And I'm talking out of my waters. I'm talking out of my ass. I know not nearly enough to speak on the subject with any type of intelligence. But like I said, when we're on the topic of running backs, when I get the opportunity to take my guy at 6 or beyond now, I'm going to do so. Whether or not I think it's a quote-unquote smart thing to do, I interviewed the man at the NFL draft. I ran into him at the gym earlier last week. I'm a former University of Texas Longhorn, so fantasy football is meant to be fun. We are going to take guys that I want to root for. I want to root for Bijan Robinson, so I'm going to take him here at 6. I'm going to take Bijan at 6. I mean, the last thing I can do is live with myself if I have talked to Bijan Robinson multiple times going into the NFL, and he goes out and completely crushes it, and I didn't draft him at all. So we're going to take him there. Stephon Diggs makes it all the way down to 11. Going to be really excited to see what that Stephon Diggs team comes away with. Goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown at 14. That team at 11 is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Rock Bottom says, watch you win the puppy with this team. Yeah. If Bijan Robinson were to win me $75,000, I would be very, very happy. I'd be very happy. And the next time I run into him, which at this rate looks to be twice a year, I'll be able to tell him. I'll be able to inform him. Have I ever ran into Stephon Diggs? No, I have not. Will I ever meet Stephon Diggs? Probably not. But Bijan Robinson, maybe that's a different story. Okay. So now let's see. 20 says, now you just have to take Lance at 19. You're right. Now if I ran into Trey Lance at the gym last week, I would take him at 19. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Saquon Barkley. I understand there's a lot of risk in this selection, and I'm going to be the first person to admit that. But at the same time, like we said in the last draft when we took Saquon Barkley at 21, what I am doing in these drafts, what I'm doing in these tournaments is just thinking upside, upside, upside. It's a $5 buy-in to win $75,000. Right? If it's a $5 buy-in to win $75,000, everything has to go right for you no matter what. And I think Barkley has a higher ceiling than Pollard, has a higher ceiling than Smith, higher ceiling than Higgins, and hell, an even higher ceiling than Derrick Henry. Harrison says, don't you expect Barkley's ADP to fall, though it, 1, already has fallen, and I've been buying the dip, and 2, just like Josh Jacobs last year, as it continues to fall, I will continue to buy the dip. Okay. Hurts off the board, 24. Let's swing this back around. Ramondre goes 25. Obviously, we are wanting to see running backs off the board. I mean, the last thing we're looking to do is grab our third running back in a row. I mean, y'all know in the $1,000 underdog draft we did, we took CMC, then Jonathan Taylor, and then Tony Pollard. We went with those 3 running backs in a row, and if we get the opportunity to start that way, I will do so every single time. But there's a difference between going CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, and like Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. Okay. Allen goes Metcalf off the board as well. Let's see what Scott does. He has Pollard, Tyreek Hill so far. He goes Hall. Let's try something new, ladies and gentlemen. When we did this in the $1,000 draft, it was my first time doing it out of the 250 drafts I've done this year. The last thing I want to do is be in the same spot where I'm in a higher stakes draft as we get closer to the season, when I'm in a $250 draft, when I'm in a $500 draft, and the board falls to me a certain type of way where I'm forced to go with a unique start that I've never done before and I'm not comfortable with. So here, I'm going to try to get out of our comfort zone. I'm going to try to see if we can make a 3 running back start work in Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. Now, would I do this in a $500 draft? Would I do this in that? Probably not. Probably not. But a big reason I get into so many of these $5 drafts on Underdog is practice, practice, practice for those leagues that we really have to be worried about. Augustus says Jacobs hasn't even signed his franchise tag yet, and neither has Saquon Barkley, my friend, but we're drafting for upside here. Okay. Christian Watson off the board there. And what we did in that $1,000 draft when we went the hyper fragile approach with 3 running backs out the gate, I want to say we got lucky, okay? If I'm going to be honest with you, we got lucky. We had wide receivers fall into us at value, and we only drafted 4 total running backs, our 4th running back being Zach Charbonnet in round 11. I think we're going to look to do something similar. We're definitely not going RB in round 4. We're definitely not going RB in round 5, but we'll see. Chris coming out says, you're the man, Mason. Go Jets. Thank you for always hanging out with us in these live streams, my friend. Really happy to see you. Now, Deebo Samuel goes. Calvin Ridley off the board as well. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to take a wide receiver, right? Pretty much any wide receiver that makes it. Okay. London goes. We're going to go ahead and take Terry McLaurin. Not even a big McLaurin fan, if I'm going to be honest with you. Not a big McLaurin guy. But Belligerent says London stack. Maybe we should have gone for the Bijan Robinson, Drake London stack. Maybe that was the play here, but you know what it is? I mean, maybe we get Drake London on the way back around. You never know. You never know. And of course, real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we had 600 likes on the stream, we are going to be firing up another draft after this one. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft after this one, and if you want to crush me and take my $5 as I waste it drafting 3 running backs out the gate, you can find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat in the description in the comment section. If you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And now is the best time to go check out Underdog because they have a free Patrick Mahomes line out there until July 22nd. Not only is this available to everybody who signs up today with promo code FLOCK, tomorrow with promo code FLOCK, blah, 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 but also if you signed up to Underdog Fantasy like 2 years ago with promo code FLOCK, that should be live in your app right now. So please make sure you go take advantage of it. Okay. Now, let's see what makes it back around to us. Preferably a wide receiver. Preferably a wide receiver. Honestly, we can't go running back. That's for damn sure. Could we mix in Hawkinson if Hawkinson fell? Kirk goes 50. Ayuk goes. So they're tempting me, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my God. We're going to take Hollywood. No, you should not draft Hollywood Brown over Kenneth Walker. You should not do that. But you also should not draft 3 running backs in a row. It is a horrible thing to do. And this is teaching us the lesson to never do this again. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. Madison goes 57. Herbert off 58. Poe asking why we didn't take Deontay Johnson because I like Hollywood Brown over Deontay Johnson. Okay. I'll take Deontay if he makes it back to us in round 6. That's for damn sure. So I love this comment. Steve says, Hollywood presently on strike. That is true, my friend. I mean, if you look at this team, we are the all-strike team. We have Saquon Barkley, who has not signed his franchise tag. We have Josh Jacobs, who has not signed his franchise tag. And all of Hollywood is on strike. So, nice. I love it, my man. Love it. All right, let's move this over. We are just whatever of these 3 wide receivers make it to us. JSN, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans. These are the guys that we're looking at. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Michael Pittman. We need a wide receiver, and he's the guy that's left. Sometimes it's as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it's as simple as that. And I actually do really like the Michael Pittman price tag this year, to be honest with you. I know nobody likes it this year. Everybody loved it last year. I hated it last year. Made fun of people for calling him the next Julio Jones because Matt Ryan was there, even though Matt Ryan was old and decrepit. But now I am willing to flip the script. Now I'm willing to say, yeah, pick 67 is much better than when he was going in the 3rd round last season. And I'll take him when he's being drafted as a wide receiver 4. Okay. Eugenio says, Pittman over Pierce. I don't know if you saw, my friend. I drafted 3 running backs in a row to start this draft. I don't think we can go Pierce. And yes, I definitely like Pittman over Jahan Dotson. Obviously, when you have McLaurin, maybe you're a little more inclined to go ahead and take Dotson and set yourself up with the double stack. But no, I definitely prefer Pittman over Jahan Dotson. All right, swing this back around. Lawrence falling. Let's see. Where's the Christian Kirk team? So this is the Christian Kirk team on the clock. He also took Mahomes. So I think you could see a Kadarius Toney or Trevor Lawrence selection here. I'd be surprised if we saw anything else. Let's see what he does. Okay. He goes Lawrence. Okay, so he decides to pair up Lawrence with Mahomes. Similar to what we did with Allen and Lawrence in the last draft. Thank God Tony goes, so we're able to get George Pickens here, pick 78. Now, we were talking about this earlier on, but yeah, I mean, it was not good to see how far ahead George Pickens was being drafted before Deontay Johnson earlier this offseason. But now that we've had George Pickens falling considerably, while at the same time you've had Deontay Johnson skyrocketing up, I mean, at this point, really like the Pickens value for when we need him. So, and Post says McLaurin could easily be top 10 this year. I hope you are correct, my friend. I hope you are, but can y'all guess what is the best season Terry McLaurin has ever had from a points per game perspective? A wide receiver finish. So was it the wide receiver 10, his best season ever? Was it the wide receiver 6, wide receiver 30, wide receiver 40? What was Terry McLaurin's best season ever? Okay. Belligerent says wide receiver 15, wide receiver 16, wide receiver 13, wide receiver 21, 20, not top 20, 16, 12, or 14, 24, 12, going to guess 9, guessing 20, 7, 15, 14, 34, 17. His best season ever. The man was wide receiver 21. Now, follow-up question. Terry McLaurin has his birthday in September. How I know this is I just recorded a video. Terry McLaurin has his birthday in September. He was drafted in 2019. How old do you think Terry McLaurin is turning in September? So in 2 months. Please spam the chat. At what age do you think Terry McLaurin will be in 2 months? "28, 27, 28, 28, 28." Yeah, so Terry McLaurin will turn 28 years old in 2 months. He will turn 28 while never before finishing anything higher as the wide receiver 21. Now, all of a sudden, he has more target competition than ever with John Dotson going into year 2. It's not like all of a sudden the Washington Commanders solved their quarterback issue with bringing in Sam Howell. Still not good at quarterback. So I am generally not a Terry McLaurin guy. Generally not. Okay. Now let's move this down. Harrison says Sam Howell is good. Sam Howell was drafted in the 5th round last year of the NFL draft. If Sam Howell was good, which is a possibility, but he most likely would not have fallen to the 5th round. Obviously, it's completely possible for a 5th round quarterback to be good. But historically speaking, they are not. Historically speaking, the probability is that they are bad. And I don't think Sam Howell's shown us anything in the NFL to sway what we should be thinking from a historical perspective so far. Okay. Now let's see. Zach Charbonnet off the board at 100. Tyler Boyd goes. Okay. I think we probably take Anthony Richardson here, right? We have Michael Pittman. I don't want to say save this team, right? Taking 3 running backs out the gate is something that's very difficult to get away with. But at the same time, while it is pretty hard to get away with, we've had some wide receivers fall to us, right? So running back, we're sitting with Bijan, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. Wide receiver, we have Terry McLaurin, Hollywood Brown, Michael Pittman, George Pickens, Brandon Cooks. And now we get Anthony Richardson with the elite rushing ceiling to stack up with Michael Pittman. So I like it. I like it. Now let's move this over. Yes, I know the new OC in Washington could make things better. But it seems like okay. It may be different this year. But Terry McLaurin has been drafted at his ceiling for 3 straight seasons now. This year may be different, but what we saw over the past 3 years in Terry McLaurin's prime, he was drafted at his ceiling. Now we have Odell Beckham Jr. off 112. P. Ryan goes, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Allen Lazard. I mean, even if we've slammed wide receiver the past few rounds, we still need wide receivers, right? Like, we're not getting away from the fact that we need some wide receiver help here. So running back, we have Bijan, Barkley, Jacobs. Wide receiver, we have McLaurin, Hollywood, Pittman, Pickens, Brandon Cooks, Allen Lazard. Quarterback, we have Anthony Richardson stacked up with Michael Pittman. Okay, let's move this over. Nico Collins, Romeo Doubs, both off the board. And we are going to take one more running back with this team, but probably only taking 4. Now, if we have like 2 guys falling to us at an incredible value, maybe we take 5, but most likely we're only taking 4. And this is actually the build that won Best Ball Mania 3 years ago. Was a hyper fragile team that went through and took running backs straight out the gate, but only drafted 4 total guys, and then went ahead and just slammed wide receiver after. Zay Jones off 121. Rodgers is in play for us considering the fact that we take Lazard. That's one of the reasons we took Rodgers, just thinking through this. If we were to go Aaron Rodgers, Anthony Richardson, I think we can get away with only having to take 2 QBs, which is probably going to be advantageous for us, considering the fact that we're going to have to draft 3 tight ends with this team, considering the fact we haven't taken one yet. Herbert goes 124. See what Scott does here. He has Breece Hall, so he could also take Rodgers if he really wanted to. We're going to take Mitchell or Rodgers, whoever falls. Okay, let's move this over. Elijah Mitchell goes, so we're going to take Rodgers. And I think when we get away, we can get away with only taking 2 quarterbacks with Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers. That way we can take 3 tight ends. And as we continue to pass on our 4th running back, it's more and more interesting to possibly take 5. Most likely still only taking 4. But ER7 says, what are your thoughts on Kamara now that we know his lawyer is Saul Goodman? I mean, I love this comment, my man. Say, I don't know. Probably made a good decision to get. In general, in these underdog drafts, I've been drafting the hell out of Alvin Kamara. Y'all already know this. Alvin Kamara is my 2nd most drafted running back, I believe. But the reason being is these drafts are like $5 buy-in, $75,000 for first place. So similar to how I'm drafting Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, when they're sliding, given the overall concerns that people have there. When people are worried and there's upside, I try to get as much of that player as I possibly can. So I think Kamara in these drafts, when you're getting him at his current cost, he makes a lot of sense for his upside case. But the issue is, if you go over and look at where he's going in like casual redraft leagues, like in ESPN formats, there Alvin Kamara is going around like 6, round 7. And if you're having to take him there, like pick 75, probably doesn't make nearly as much sense. Okay. Now, see what Brady Wheeler decides to do. He sniped us on Daniel Jones previously. I would have been excited to have Daniel Jones make it to us. He goes Van Jefferson, so we're going to take our first tight end here with Dalton Schultz. Not going to think about this one too much. I think Dalton Schultz can outscore the wide receivers in this range. We need a tight end, and yeah, not much else to it. You sit here and say, oh yeah, rookie quarterbacks need to lean on the tight end, blah, blah, blah. The Houston Texans don't really have any wide receivers, blah, blah, blah. In reality, I think Schultz is more appealing than anybody else here, and we need his position. So I think that is about as much analysis as we need. Eugenio says the Jets are on Hard Knocks. Yes, I'm actually really excited for Hard Knocks this year. Like, let me ask everybody in the chat this. I feel like the Jets was one of the best teams to be on Hard Knocks. But if you had to choose one team to be on Hard Knocks this season, what team would you have chosen? Please let me know in the chat. I think I would have been looking at like the Broncos with Sean Payton, and then like Russell Wilson obviously was such a disappointing year last year. The Jets with Aaron Rodgers coming over, like I felt like they chose a pretty damn good team. Okay. Robert says the Jets. Flacco says the Steelers. I don't know. I honestly don't think the Steelers would have been too interesting. Lions, we had the Lions last year. Atlanta would have, I kind of like the Atlanta call. Bears, I like the Bears call, to be honest. And y'all know I'm not a big Bears fan. Bills, Lions, Seahawks. I think Seahawks could have been very interesting. Miami could have been very interesting. Broncos wouldn't have been too excited. Patriots. Oh, San Francisco's the right answer. To see what's going on with Darnold there, to see what's going on. Yeah, that's the right answer. San Francisco would have been phenomenal. Okay. Now, Osborne off the board, 147. I don't want to say too much, right? It's a pretty important pick for us. Let's wait and see what happens. Tyler Algier goes 148. Hell yes, we get Tank Bigsby falling to us here. I think Tank Bigsby probably the best play that we can make at this point, getting him at pick 150. Now, what's interesting is, could we get away with taking another running back? Probably not right. We probably still have to stop at 4. But I don't know. Considering the fact that we wait until the 13th to take our 4 guy, I feel like we have an okay wide receiver room, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself and say, yeah, this wide receiver room is great. We're sitting with McLaurin, Hollywood, Pittman, Pickens, Brandon Cooks, Allen Lazard. We're sitting with a bunch of guys that you hope are wide receiver 2s in fantasy. But having Bijan, Barkley, Jacobs does give us that significant edge at running back. I think we have enough quarterback production, and we correlated those guys well with Richardson and Rodgers. I don't know. But Riley says, man, I've been so dang busy this summer. HVAC is obviously a bit more demanding during the hottest time of the year. So excited to be out in the live tonight. You'd be killing it, Mason. My man, thank you so much for coming and hanging out, being such a long time member of the flock. Really happy to see you. And if you work on HVACs, I have to have an HVAC company coming out, because in my house, by one of the vents on the ceiling, maybe you can help me out in the live chat with what's going on here. I'm assuming condensation is like dripping, because my ceiling along this line is starting to like get a line and like a little drip and like a little dot, like dots. Looks gross, and it is very, very concerning, and I have no idea how much it's going to cost. But yeah, please, if you have any insight on what may be going on there, I'm all ears, my friend. Okay, now Bigsby off the board. Let's see what we're doing here. Philip says small leak. Okay, so what am I going to have to do with that? Am I going to have to get someone to come out and literally open up the ceiling? Like, how the hell does it get there? Okay, Deonta Foreman goes, I think we're just going to go ahead and take another tight end. We need tight ends. Wide receivers, running backs in this range aren't too exciting. We'll go ahead and we'll take Irv Smith Jr. We're still definitely going to be taking 3 tight ends in this draft no matter what, right? Like, we'll see whoever makes it to us a little later on, but I'm excited about him. Okay. Riley says you might need to have your ductwork insulated. That's what I thought, but how much do you think that costs, my friend? Like, I don't even know if I don't think they could get inside the ceiling unless they like literally tear it open. Like, I don't think you can get to an attic there. ER7 says I need to take care of that now. It can get way worse. I have an HVAC guy coming out like a week to like clean the HVAC and crap, and I guess I'll probably have him sell me on whatever the hell it is. Mr. TD says 150K at least. Yeah, minimum. I do not have attic access, sadly. That's why I'm asking. Like, how the hell do they get there? But we'll see. It's also a cool 105, 110 degrees every single day in Austin, Texas for us here. So a little brutal. But we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the board at 168. Let's see. Jerome Ford goes. I don't know what it. I'm going to keep my lips sealed. I know who we're going after. I don't know if we get him. I know who we're going for. I don't know if we get him. I'm going to keep my lips sealed. There are 2 guys I'm fine with. Isaiah Hodgins goes, hell yes, we're going to get Curtis Samuel. We will make the consolidated bet on the Washington Commanders passing offense. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe Sam Howell's good. If it does happen, hell, this team needs it. This team needs some wide receiver production, of course. So now running back, we're sitting with Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. Down there in the 13th, we also took Tank Bigsby. Wide receiver, we have McLaurin, Hollywood, Pittman, Pickens, Cooks, Lazard, Curtis Samuel. Quarterback, we have Richardson, Rodgers. Tight end, we have Schultz, Irv Smith Jr. We'll see. Riley, thank you, my friend. I wish you were in Austin, my friend. Wish you were in Austin. But everybody's saying got to take Sam Howell now. If I didn't take Rodgers 100%, I think we would have taken Sam Howell. Lane says, why is stacking so important in this format? Stacking is important in every format. It doesn't matter if you're playing in Dynasty. Doesn't matter if you're playing in Best Ball. Doesn't matter if you were playing in your redraft league. Because when I make a selection at the very top, say I take, for example, Jamar Chase round 1. When I take Jamar Chase round 1, for my team to be good, the Cincinnati Bengals passing offense has to be good. The Cincinnati Bengals passing offense has to be good. Joe Burrow has to stay healthy, and Joe Burrow has to be good. So it makes sense when only one person wins your fantasy football league and everything has to essentially go right, or a lot of things have to go right to consolidate your bets. And if you just make 1 to 2, 3 bets-ish, and you get those 3 things being right, such as, say, Anthony Richardson being a good rookie quarterback, leading to both Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman being strong values in fantasy, or say, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers elevating the New York Jets, and Alan Lazard and Aaron Rodgers both hit. That's what we're looking for regardless of the format, my friend. But now I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Gesicki. We need a tight end. I think you should probably be bumping Gesicki up just a tiny bit, considering the fact now we have no DeAndre Hopkins in New England. So, yeah, let's take him. Let's take him. Okay. Philip says, had the same issue a few years ago and fixed it for less than $1,000. Think it was like 600. Philip, did they have to like take down the ceiling? Or did you have attic access where they could like crawl through the attic? Elixir says, put all your eggs in one basket. First or last, doesn't matter if you're mid. It's the easiest way to say why stacking matters, right? Getting 6th place in your fantasy football league does not matter. Getting 6th place versus 12th place, it's the same exact thing. The only thing that matters is getting first. Okay. Philip says they cut out a small part of it, but then they... Okay, cool. As long as it's not going to be like... I just have no freaking idea, right? Someone could come over and tell me, hey, it's going to be $8,000. And I'm like, okay. Okay. Now, we have Shakir Wan'Dale Robinson off the board, 189, 192. This point, like I said, I think we have the flexibility if we really, really wanted to take another back. We also don't have to. It depends on the value that makes it to us. We definitely need to go with an 8th wide receiver. I guess maybe we could go ahead and go with either a 5th running back or a 3rd quarterback. Okay. We'll take Jeff Wilson here and we'll just say, what if no running back signs in Miami? Y'all know I've been passing on the Miami running backs a ton, but let's take them. And we are 2 likes away from hitting 600 likes in this live stream. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. Once we hit 600, we are going to go ahead and fire up the next draft after this one, ladies and gentlemen. But let's move this down. And yeah, we're just going to take a wide receiver here in the last round. I'll let y'all know what wide receiver we're taking. We honestly may end up going ahead, taking McCole Hardman to pair him up with Rodgers as well. Nope, McCole Hardman goes 203. We'll figure it out. I'll let y'all know. But let's get in a fast puppy draft. Just in case you are new here, this is the $5 buy-in on Underdog, $500,000 prize pool, $75,000 for first, $40,000 for second. And yeah, we had a member of the flock win this last year for $75K. Let's get in here and let's get this draft started, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we are going to be at pick 10, so maybe we get the shot to take our guy again with Bijan Robinson. We'll see. We'll see. There's a shot. There's a shot, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, real quick, if you want to get in one of these drafts with us, we are doing this every single day until 2024. Not going to miss a single day. And this is Underdog Fantasy. There are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the year. So I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last year. You can get in these Underdog drafts with the link in the comment section, the link in the description. This is also the same spot where you see all the player props in the videos. And now is the best time to hop on Underdog because this is the best tournament for someone new on Underdog. And at the same time, they have a free Patrick Mahomes lineup until July 22nd, more than less than half a passing yard. This is where Underdog is available, and you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. Also, it's by far and away the number one way that you can support this channel and help me apparently fix my AC that is ruining our ceiling. But Jonas on the clock now at pick 1. Let's get this going. Jacob says, finally signed up for Underdog. Thank you so much, my man. There's nothing that helps this channel more, by far and away. By far and away. And that other draft, I believe we just took Josh Downs, unless I'm mistaken. Let me double check. Did I take Josh Downs? Yeah, we took Josh Downs, got the double stack with Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, and Anthony Richardson. But now, Jonathan says, hey, Flog, what are your thoughts on Ramondre and Andrews at the 212, 301? So, in general, if you're looking at Ramondre Stevenson, on paper, Ramondre Stevenson looks like a league-winning running back this next year, right? Like, it's very hard to get away from his receiving down usage a year ago, combined with the fact that if you're looking at Ramondre Stevenson as a running back that now no longer has to deal with Damian Harris, he looks to be in a great spot, right? But with that being said, I am a little bit nervous, right or wrong. I'm a little bit nervous that maybe you get Dalvin. I'm a little bit nervous that maybe you get Zeke, maybe you get Hunt, maybe you get Leonard Fournette. So even though Ramondre looks like a league winner on the surface, on paper, I haven't drafted a lot of them, and I probably will end up regretting that action. But someone that I'm not going to regret passing on because I'm done passing on him is Bijan Robinson. We're going to go ahead and take him here at 10, and I'm going to show you the picture as I will do every single time. And one of these days, I'm going to remember to go through and pull up the screenshots from when we were on the red carpet at the NFL draft with Bryce Young, with Jackson Smith and Jigba. That way we can pull up those pictures every time we draft one of these guys. Okay. So Devontae Adams goes 12, Garrett Wilson 13. Let's move this back around. Amon-Ra St. Brown off the board. You know what? F it. Let's get this practice in. Y'all know what we've done all offseason in these Underdog drafts is go wide receiver early. Let's mix it up. Let's go ahead. Let's try to practice going with some running backs early, middle round wide receiver like we did in the last draft. I surprisingly didn't hate the last draft with what it ended up being. I doubt this ends up being our new strategy on Underdog, right? But I feel like I kind of am a fool if I'm going to prepare to hop in a bunch of $250 drafts like a month from now, and I haven't gone ahead and practiced different draft strategies, right? If I've just done the same thing all off season. I don't know. We'll see. And Johnny says Chubb over Taylor. Yes, I understand most people would rather have Nick Chubb over Jonathan Taylor. I'm betting on the bounce back with Taylor. This is a running back that has increased his market share numbers both as a rusher and a receiver for 3 straight seasons now. This is a running back that was the running back 2 in fantasy on a points per game basis 2 seasons ago. Yes, the offense was piss poor last year. Yes, Jonathan Taylor was injured last season. And yes, I think you may have to worry about the offense being bad yet again with Anthony Richardson at quarterback in year 1. But nonetheless, this is a quarterback that's still on his rookie deal. That is one of the very few players in fantasy football that can see a 12 to 13% target share while also see 70% of the carries in his backfield. And yeah, Ghost asking who's the backup for Taylor. This is kind of the point here, right? I mean, there's just literally nobody that you need to be worried about taking touches away from him. Outside of Richardson himself, of course. Yeah, so if Chubb had the target share historically that we've seen from Taylor, I would be all about taking Nick Chubb over Jonathan Taylor. I think Nick Chubb will be a running back in a much better offense. But Nick Chubb turning 28 this season, Jonathan Taylor on his rookie deal, and at the same time, Nick Chubb, historically speaking, hasn't had the involvement as a pass catcher that you'd like to see, even if that will improve this following season, of course, with the addition of, with the departure of Kareem Hunt. Okay. Elixir says Chubb over Taylor non-PPR. I'm completely fine if you want to go Chubb over Taylor non-PPR. Completely fine with that. Adam says Zach Moss. Eugenio says Zach Moss. It's kind of funny is you've never seen Zach Moss get drafted in one of these underdog drafts. So if you really wanted to stand out from the crowd and you really wanted to have a unique team, maybe you could go ahead and maybe you could say mix in Zach Moss into the 18th round in some of these, just in case if Jonathan Taylor were to go down and all of a sudden you're the only person with Zach Moss and he has some upside. Something to think about. Lord on the clock with Chubb, AJ Brown through the first 2 rounds. We're going to go ahead. We're going to grab Amari Cooper. Not going to think about this one too much. Amari Cooper has the projected target share that we look for, combined with the fact that Amari Cooper has the elite level quarterback play that we want, and we need a wide receiver. Okay. Solvin Donkey says, I have 57% Zamir White. I have never taken Zamir White, and I think maybe the reason is I'm just a little bit scarred from people screaming at me every single time I drafted Josh Jacobs last year that Zamir White was going to take his job. Zamir White's like a small running back that doesn't catch passes. I don't like small running backs that don't catch passes. I mean, obviously now round 18 flyer when nobody else is drafting him, I think it's fine. More so going back to last year. But we're going to take Deebo Samuel here at 39. So I actually really like the start of Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor running back, Amari Cooper, Deebo Samuel at wide receiver. I think this will be a very unique start if you look compared to the rest of the field at the same time. But Uncle Fresh says, how do you tell the percentage of drafted player? What you're going to do is go to Underdog and go just to the homepage, like the draft homepage. You'll see that you have like everything there at the top in terms of lobby, active, completed. You hit completed drafts, and then you'll go to the 2023 season, hit exposure, and then Underdog lists everything out in terms of the order you've drafted guys, your most drafted, and the amount that you've spent on them. You can order it by your percent drafted. You can order it by your entry fees. So yeah, regardless, doesn't matter how you cut it. I have a lot of Michael Pittman and I have a lot of Jonathan Taylor. Like, I didn't expect this to be the case, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Nick says, having the exposure feature is huge. It is one of the coolest things about Underdog. The things I really like about Underdog is one, like it's super easy on both your phone and computer. Two, I really like that they're very upfront about the rake. Like other times I've went to enter in like DFS contests, like it doesn't just show you straight up what the rake is, you know? Underdog, it says the rake in this contest is 10%, you know? Like it just says that on the front page right before you enter. And I really like the fact that you can go through and track exactly how many of each player you've drafted, where you've drafted them, break it down by tournament and everything between. But Eugenio says Lance is going to start sometime this year. He better. Now, yeah, DJ Moore going off 48. Hopkins going back a little bit later than where he went yesterday in drafts. But yeah, we are seeing Hopkins now fall to kind of the 4 or 5 turn, which is about where he was going before he signed, right? Christian Kirk off the board there at 59. Elix says, did you see what Derrick Henry said about running backs nowadays? I did not. Okay. Let me pull this up. Derrick Henry. Hopefully this will pop up on Twitter. Deontay Johnson off the board, 51. Okay. At this point, just take the running back position out of the game then. Oh my gosh, what are we doing here? Are we really doing this? The ones that want to be great and work as hard as they can, give their all to an organization, just seems like it don't even matter. I'm with every running back that's fighting to get what they deserve. I will say the franchise tag seems like it should not exist. The franchise tag is the issue. I don't think there should be an issue in terms of teams not wanting to pay running backs or not wanting to draft running backs high. If that's how teams view the position, then don't grow up to play running back. Don't play running back. Now, like I said, the franchise tag here is what I think the issue is. Because the franchise tag is what allows them to manipulate the market and to not allow these guys to get paid what they should. If you got rid of the franchise tag, I think this solves all issues. TKL says the real problem is their careers are so short. And I 100% agree, it sucks. But at the same time, like, you can say the career of an NFL cheerleaders may be short. I don't freaking know. I'm pulling this out of my butt, right? But does that mean the NFL should go ahead and pay them a ton, you know? Does that mean they should be paid as much as quarterbacks? Generally, no, because they should be paid whatever value they bring to the organization. I'd say the same thing about running backs, right? If the NFL front offices determine like running backs aren't worth half as much as wide receivers, then they shouldn't be paid half as much as wide receivers. But I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is you can go ahead and you can franchise tag a running back so he doesn't even have the opportunity to get paid. But I would say that's an issue with the franchise tag regardless of the position, not just running back. And of course, I've never been an NFL running back, so who the hell am I to speak on it? Now, let's move this down. We're going to go Kittle. They're pick 63. We'll allow us only have to draft 2 tight ends. We've already taken that bet on the San Francisco 49ers offense with Deebo Samuel. So essentially just doubling down with that bet with George Kittle here. 20 says, restricted free agency would literally solve the entire issue. Let's let their players see what their worth is and teams control how much. Yeah, 100%. Like I was saying, if the franchise tag was not in this situation, I have no issue with teams not wanting to pay running backs. Like, if they don't want to, sure, they don't want to. If they determine that the running back position doesn't matter, they determine that the running back position doesn't matter. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is the running backs don't have an opportunity to get paid if they can be on the tag. Okay. So now I actually don't mind this team. Like I said, we're trying something new here, going running back out the gate. But Amari, Deebo, Godwin, George Kittle, I'm kind of fine with a wide receiver and tight end. I don't know. DeAndre Swift, 71. Dallas Goedert goes 72. And then we have a lot of flexibility with what we do at pick 82 as well, right? I feel like we can pretty much go with any value we get. Okay. George Pickens goes 76. Treylon Burks finally falling as I believe he should with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. Here, Burks not off the board yet by the time he gets to pick 77. Let's see what happens. Okay. Burks goes 77. Honestly, if you would have made it to us like the 7-8 turn, I would have considered taking Treylon Burks. Definitely not a guarantee. It would have been up to the other players that we were looking at, but definitely would have been something I considered. Jordan Addison goes 78. Quentin Johnson off the board, 79. Jahan Dotson goes. Bateman off. Okay. Obviously, Deshaun Watson stacked with Amari Cooper makes a ton of sense, but I'm going to try to get greedy with this one. We're going to try to get greedy. We're going to try to get David Montgomery here at 82 and Deshaun Watson on the way back around. Like, we're the team who drafted Amari Cooper. It makes the most sense for us to draft him. These teams here most likely aren't going to have a shot at David Njoku. So I think that there's a real shot we do get both Montgomery as well as Watson. Let's see, we're one pick away. Hell yes, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting Deshaun Watson here as well. So now running back, we are currently sitting with Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery. Wide receiver, we have Amari Cooper, Deebo Samuel, Chris Godwin. Quarterback, we have Deshaun Watson stacked up with Amari. Tight end, we have George Kittle. So the bets that we've essentially made the bets on the Cleveland Browns passing offense with the combo of Watson and Amari. And we've made that bet on the San Francisco 49ers passing offense with the combination of Kittle and Deebo Samuel. Okay. Let's move this over. Pacheco goes pick 90. And it looks like everybody in the chat likes this team, which is surprising. I mean, like I said, this is a very different team than what we're used to drafting. But to be fair, usually everybody in the chat does not like our team. So maybe that tells us something. Okay. Dwayne says, do you really take Watson over Tua? Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, like, let's go ahead and let's look at their lines on Underdog. I mean, if we are looking at Deshaun Watson, they currently have him for about 400 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. If we're going to compare that to what they have with Tua, Tua just simply is not going to run the ball, right? And at the same time, they have Tua for 25 passing touchdowns. They have Deshaun Watson for 26.5 passing touchdowns. So the passing volume looks similar between Tua as well as Deshaun Watson. But a big difference is Watson, you'll have some rushing upside. While not a lot, you'll have some. Where Tua, you won't have any. Now, I still really like Tua, right? But it also doesn't make sense here for us to take Tua whenever we don't have Tyreek and whenever we don't have Waddle. Okay. So let's move this back around. We have James Cook, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Isaiah Pacheco all going in this round. Love the running backs in this round. So like, God, I love freaking Isaiah Pacheco with where he's going. And I thought that there was no way I was going to beat on Pacheco this year. Okay, now we have Evan Ingram off the board, 96. I would have really liked having Evan Ingram make it to us. Seems like I've taken a lot of round 9 Evan Ingram as of late. Let's move this over. Thomas off the board. Aldo says, how rare is Hill and Waddle on the same team? Now it rarely ever happens. It was a little more common earlier on in the offseason whenever Jalen Waddle would fall a little bit further. Okay, Boyd goes 103. I know who we want. I don't know if we get him, but I know who we want. Dylan goes, so we are going to get that guy we want. We want Pat Frymuth here. So when we take Kittle round 6, it's a little bit of an interesting case in that we definitely have the ability to only draft 2 tight ends if we want to. But it also kind of does give us a little bit of a gray area where maybe every once in a while we want to pull the trigger on a 3rd tight end. Now, we don't even have to think about that. Now, this just dumbs down the thought process, dumbs down the decision making for us. And we were able to say, okay, we are done drafting tight ends. We don't have to take another tight end in this draft. Okay, so let's see what T. Smitty does. So quarterbacks that could possibly make sense for us. Geno, we don't have a stack. Daniel Jones, we don't. Cousins, we don't. Daniel Jones, I'm kind of fine taking unstacked given the fact he has rushing upside. Who'd be the other guys that we're looking at later on at quarterback? Those guys have no rushing upside. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take Daniel Jones. And I think this way we can get away with only having to draft 2 quarterbacks as well. I know we still need wide receiver. Clearly, we need wide receiver. But at the same time, I mean, hell, am I really that excited about taking... Oh my gosh, Juju Smith-Schuster was there. Maybe we should have taken Juju. Sorry. Didn't see that Juju was there. I just was looking at Odell Beckham Jr. Yeah, no, Juju was probably the right call. It is what it is. I don't think Daniel Jones is that bad of a selection. Now with this team, we're going to go ahead. We're going to build around 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 5 running backs, and 9 wide receivers. So going to be a 9 wide receiver build here. But real quick, of course, if y'all want to see another draft after this one, we are exactly 100 likes away from hitting 800. We will fire up another draft if we hit 800 likes. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft, you can find that link in the live chat in the description, in the comment section. Use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to your 100. You'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. Get a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Plus, you're going to have some fun getting us some drafts with us. Now's the perfect time to do so with the puppy tournament being open, as well as the fact that they have the free Patrick Mahomes line out for everybody until July 22nd. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. And also, this is where Underdog is available just in case anybody's unaware. But let's move this down. Joseph says, what is your Akers share percentage and thoughts? I am very light on Cam Akers. If you look at where Cam Akers goes in these drafts in general, I would rather have Miles Sanders than Cam Akers. In a lot of these drafts, Dameon Pierce falls to the 7th round, and I'd rather have Dameon Pierce than Cam Akers. So yeah, probably don't have much Cam Akers at all, my friend. Let me go ahead and pull this up. I actually have 6% Cam Akers. Never mind. That's honestly a little bit more than I expected. Obviously, Akers finished off the season strong this past year. What I'm a little bit worried about when it comes to Cam Akers is the fact that this is the same running back who for 3, I don't want to say that, but this is a team that's probably going to be pretty bad, right? This is a team that right now Vegas has at about 6.5 wins for their win total. Okay. Devon A-Chain off the board 124. Let's see what we get. Obviously, we're just running back wide receiver from here on out with Watson, Daniel Jones, quarterback with Kittle, Frymuth at tight ends. And we are going to be looking at stacking up Daniel Jones with some of these options, right? We at least need one. We at least want one of those guys to pair up with Daniel Jones if we get the opportunity. Jamal Williams goes. Kennedy curse on the clock. What are they doing here? They go Jonathan Mingo. We're going to go Romeo Doubs. I mean, don't have much to say about Doubs. He's probably not good this next year, right? That's why he's being drafted as like the wide receiver 60. But we are getting him about 11 picks past ADP. Wide receiver is by far and away the position that we need most at this point. It's not like any of these wide receivers make any more sense for this team based off the quarterbacks that we have selected or any other parts of the roster. So let's go ahead and let's just grab Romeo Doubs here, pick 130. Okay. Okay. Condre Miller off the board, 132. Gallup goes 133. T. Smitty back on the clock. T. Smitty's in a lot of these drafts with us. There you go, Darnell Mooney. So we're going to grab Rondale Moore. Very similar to Romeo Doubs, right? I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on Rondale Moore. I mean, this is a wide receiver that is probably in a very bad offense, that's undersized, that hasn't done anything for 2 years pretty much. But nonetheless, we need a wide receiver more than anything. He falls 6 picks past ADP. So let's go ahead and let's pull the trigger here, 195. Nobody else is really standing out as someone that we just have to draft. Now, FF Addict says, who are your top 3 undervalued players? I would say 1, and it's going to surprise y'all. I hope y'all are sitting down. I'm Mr. Trey Lance. Now, 2, I'm maybe going to go with the Indy guys. I wasn't expecting to have this take coming into this next year. But I think if you look at where Pittman as well as Jonathan Taylor go in these drafts, I think Indianapolis may be a little bit undervalued in fantasy football this season. I don't know. Adam says, thoughts on Khalil Herbert. This is another take that I was not expecting to have. I was expecting to come out here and see Khalil Herbert going in round like 6 of fantasy football drafts, round 7 of fantasy football drafts. And I was expecting to say, yeah, avoid Khalil Herbert. There's a shot Deonta Foreman is the starting running back in Chicago. There's a shot that Roschon Johnson is the starting running back in Chicago. But it looks like everybody kind of agrees with that. And in my mind, Khalil Herbert goes in a very reasonable price range. Right now, he's the running back 40 in these underdog drafts. And I've actually drafted a decent amount of Khalil Herbert. Now, Komet goes. Good for us. Obviously, we want tight ends off the board. Obviously, we want quarterbacks off the board. That's the main thing that we would want to root for at this point. Now, to move this down, there are a lot of quarterbacks and tight ends available. We're looking at running back, wide receiver. Tank Bigsby has fallen a considerable amount in every single one of these drafts. Can someone please fill me in? What's up with Tank Bigsby today? This is the 3rd straight draft Tank Bigsby has fallen 10 or more picks past ADP. Was there news that I don't know of? Gulia says people like ETN. Hell, I like ETN. Shaheed goes 152. Like, I've not taken a lot of Tank Bigsby round 12, round 13, but here I think we're going to mix in Tank Bigsby. Just like we did in the past 2 drafts. Every draft we've gotten Tank Bigsby here, at least 12 picks past ADP. So we'll take him here, 154. Maybe we'll mix up our exposures a bit. Hopefully this is a guy that continues to fall down draft boards because I don't have a lot of them. Let me pull this up. I'm sitting with 6%. I guess that's more than I expected. I guess we were drafting him a lot right after the NFL draft before his ADP skyrocketed, but it feels like I haven't drafted him in a month. So yeah, hopefully he falls a little bit more because this is definitely a much more reasonable price tag where I can talk ourselves into drafting him. Okay, Marquez Valdez-Scantling off the board, 156. I just wanted to make sure there was like no news that we heard like, oh, Dearness Johnson's going to be the running back 2 on this team. Tank Bigsby may get cut. I was making sure there was nothing crazy like that we missed out on. Okay, Time School back on the clock. They have no tight end, so maybe you see a tight end selection here. They go Alec Pierce instead. T. Smitty up on the clock. Anthony, this is probably the right answer because the Dynasty Rookie Draft honeymoon is over and the fog is clear. That's definitely the right answer. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Donovan Peoples-Jones. Going to do this no matter if Marvin Jones was drafted or not. I mean, hell, we need another wide receiver. We have Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper stacked, so might as well grab a double stack here with Donovan Peoples-Jones. And yeah, so now at running back, we are currently sitting with Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery. Wide receiver, we have Amari Cooper, Deebo Samuel, Chris Godwin, Romeo Doubs, Rondale Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Tight end, we have Kittle, Frymuth. Quarterback, we have Watson, Daniel Jones. And I like this team. I like this. Belligerent says, I love Donovan Peoples-Jones early. He commanded 120 targets last season. I mean, yeah, obviously, if you get a repeat of the volume in the role Donovan Peoples-Jones had a year ago, he is a phenomenal selection here. Now, the main question is how does Elijah Moore operate in this offense? How does he take volume away from Donovan Peoples-Jones? Because there's a shot that, I mean, he's the guy that people are relying on. I mean, he's the guy Watson's relying on, and the volume just significantly goes down for DPJ. Okay. Taysom goes. Derek Carr goes. Obviously, we just want to see quarterbacks, tight ends get drafted. That's the main thing. And we are 40 likes away from hitting 800 likes and another draft. So make sure you go down there and drop a like on this stream. Robert says, Mason being quiet about the likes so he doesn't have to do another draft. So smash that like. Maybe I won't say anything the rest of the way, my man. Maybe we won't. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Jaden Reed off the board, 166. Jeep guy asking, what's our Taysom exposure? I don't have a lot of Taysom. Let me pull this up. I have 5% Taysom Hill. Yeah, I will fully admit, like, we should have drafted Taysom Hill in as many drafts as possible last year. Like, if you were looking at Taysom round 18, made a whole lot of sense. But now that you bring in, say, Jamal Williams, Condre Miller, plus you make Taysom Hill, I believe, 34 years old this next year. I don't know. I feel like they rely on him a little bit less. And also you move from Andy Dalton to Derek Carr. I don't know. Okay. Zeke, Curtis Samuel, both off the board. So what's interesting is we have 4 picks left, 2 of which will be running back, 2 of which will be wide receiver. I would prefer 2 of those wide receiver selections to be these New York Giant options, considering the fact we have Daniel Jones, we have nobody else stacked up. So we just have to keep that into consideration as we go through and map out what running backs versus wide receivers we're taking here. Okay, Juwan Johnson goes 172. God, I have a tweet right now that is going straight viral. Tweeted it 2 hours ago, right before this live stream. Almost 70,000 views. God, my tweets have been popping off lately. And they're always just the dumbest things, too. Okay. Let's see, Pierre Strong off the board, 176. His team only has Chig at tight end, so maybe you see him go tight end here. It'd be great for us, obviously. We're going to go Mostert. We're going to make the bet. Oh, actually, no, we're only taking 1 more running back. Never mind. We're taking 3 more wide receivers. Yeah, we're going to make the bet. What if a running back doesn't go over to Miami? What if he's an okay value here? Y'all know we have not drafted much Mostert at all, however. Let's swing this back around. Sam Laporta goes 179. Yeah, the run on tight end's great for us. It's the main thing we would like to see. Mechie goes, I think we're actually going to take Hunter Renfrow, and then we should have two of these wide receivers falling to us in round 17 and 18. At least, at the very minimum, one of them to pair up with Daniel Jones. But I'd assume that we actually probably have two of those wide receivers making it and pair up with Daniel Jones, right? I believe so. And Nick, the winner of the puppy last year who won $75,000, is out here in this live stream with us. Happy to see you, my man, and thank you for letting me brag about you over and over and over again, right? Thank you. Okay, let's move this down. Hyatt goes 187. Not great for us to see, right? Not great for us to see. Okay. Parker goes. I think Parker's definitely a lot more appealing now. I mean, it seems like Parker's pretty much won the past month of fantasy football, right? Obviously, you don't care about him in your just regular like redraft format, but in best ball, he does become appealing. Looks like he has a real shot to be an every down wide receiver there for the New England Patriots. He gets the contract extension. Not only does he get the contract extension, but on top of this, you are looking at the fact that they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. So, yeah, you should be pretty excited about it. Okay. Chase Brown going 192. Wandale off the board. Are you freaking kidding me? So it looks like Darius Slayton's the only wide receiver that we can still pair up with Daniel Jones. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, we're not going to be able to sit here and just cry about this. We're not even looking at running back anymore. I forgot. We are just strictly wide receiver. Nick says, also, I've been here most of the stream, Mason. You even read a couple comments. Okay, well, Nick. You know, my man, if I'm live streaming literally every single day, and I've done since April, it all begins to blur together. Like, when I'm behind this computer and when I am drafting teams, I would not be able to tell you how long I've been here, what day it is, what part of the year it is, how far away the football is. It is a massive blur. It's like stepping into a different world. Okay. Conklin goes, I'm not taking Terrace Marshall. We need wide receivers no matter what. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take Chase Claypool here. Luke says, if weekly winners doesn't fill up by 9-7, is Underdog still required to pay out the $20K each week? Yes. If Underdog goes through and they put out guaranteed prizes, it doesn't matter if only one person drafts. Underdog has to pay those guaranteed prizes. So honestly, you kind of like going through and looking for those contests that may not fill and trying to get as many going as possible. So like if there was only one person that drafted in weekly winners every week, they'd win the 20,000, you know? Okay. Now, sadly, we hit 800 likes, so my girlfriend is going to be pissed that we were hopping in another draft. But we're going to take Josh Downs here. I think Josh Downs is the most exciting player because we are hopping in now a fourth draft for tonight. Y'all are going to have to hear me say this for the 30th time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Underdog Fantasy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing this every single day until 2024. Not going to take a single day off If you want to support this live stream, the fact that we are going that much, putting out content for y'all, the best way you do so is by getting into a draft with us on Underdog. This is the puppy tournament. It's a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. This will for sure fill, ladies and gentlemen. First place, $75,000. Nick in the live chat won this last season. We are going to be hopping in here. And of course, if you want to draft with us, now is the best time to do so because they have this tournament open, which is the one I'd recommend to all new people to Underdog Fantasy. And on top of this, they have the free Patrick Mahomes player prop out there, more than less than half a passing yard. So say that's going to be the number one. Now is the number one time to sign up for Underdog. And also because it looks like we are now going to be doing 4 drafts a night here starting in mid-July. And I'd imagine by the time we get to August, that turns to 5 drafts a night. By the time we get to September, I'd imagine that turns into 6 drafts a night. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you get on Underdog now so you can participate with us. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, our 2023 fantasy football rankings, and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And Brock asking what we paired the Patrick Mahomes player prop with. What I did, here are a couple options that I like for you. These are my favorite ones right now. I like Jamar Chase plus 25 receiving yards versus Davante Adams. So like Davante Adams this next year has 20 more receiving yards than Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase still wins this side of the bet. I think it's kind of free money. And then also I like Treylon Burks for fewer than 825.5 receiving yards now that you have DeAndre Hopkins going. Those are my 2 favorite things to pair up with the free Patrick Mahomes line. Okay. And yeah, our previous favorite bet was Higgins versus Kadarius Toney receiving touchdowns. Sadly, they took that one down. So if you did not get to take advantage of that one last month, I'd say definitely now go take advantage of that Chase slash, what was the other one? Treylon Burks lines. Alexa says, have fun with the girlfriend before we lock you in for a 24-hour live stream after 200,000 subs. Yes. I mean, how long have we been... What is so crazy to think is I've been live for 2 hours now, and it seems like I've been live for a very long time. During the season, our live streams are like 3 to 4 hours every single night, and I'll go all year without missing one. So it's so crazy to think about, like, now I'm having a hard time getting through 2 hours of this live stream, just like talking nonstop, like your head kind of hurts. And going into this next year, I'm going to have to prepare myself to do 3 to 4 hours every night. And also, we're going to go from 1 video a day to 2 videos a day. I need to get in season shape. Right now, I'm not in season shape. Hopefully, we will be soon. Okay, A.J. Brown off the board at 8. Austin Eckler goes. Do we get 3 drafts in a row rooting for our guy here? Lamb goes, so we get 3 drafts in a row where we get to root for Bijan Robinson, taking him at pick 11, slowly but surely having more and more Bijan Robinson in these drafts. Now let me see how much Bijan Robinson I have. I'm up to 4% Bijan Robinson, so got a long ways to go to build that up to hopefully closer to about 15-ish% so we can root for our guy, but got a long, long ways to go. Henry off the board. We will go ahead and we will take Garrett Wilson here, ladies and gentlemen. In general, I'm taking Davante Adams over Garrett Wilson in the majority of these drafts, but I have so much freaking Adams. And also the combination of Bijan Robinson, Garrett Wilson will be a unique combo, at least more so than the combination of Davante Adams and Bijan Robinson. Okay. Eric says 19% Bijan. Mile High Majik says 18%. I'm envious. I'm envious. And Jeep Guy says Mason Head in the... So obviously it's a joke that my job is the easiest job in the world, going through and making fantasy football videos every day and live streaming every day. But what is so funny to think about is it is 100% the easiest job in the world. I have an easy job doing like 2 videos a day and a live stream a day. And other people who make fantasy football videos can't even put in enough effort to make them as high quality as ours or put as much research into them as ours. And they can only do like one every other couple days, you know? So it's crazy to think that there are a lot of people that this is like their full-time job and they do like 1 to 2 videos a week that they don't put much effort into and think that they're doing a lot. Like, do y'all know what a real job is? You know? I don't know. But we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle off the board. Patrick Mahomes at 18. Jonathan Taylor goes 19. Okay. So I'm just interested to see how far Barkley falls. This is a team that took Kupp at 4, take Barkley. NBF says, honestly, YouTubers that don't have at least 5 vids a week are dead to me. It's completely different if you are looking at the YouTubers like Mr. Beast, right? That they go through and they put so much work into a video that is way better than anything I could ever do, right? Like, I'm never going to be able to make as good of a video as Mr. Beast. And 100%, if I could, I think you only want to do 1 video a month and you want to make that video the best it can possibly be. I'm talking about like people who like put out like 1 video a week and they don't really put much research into it. They don't really do much editing. They just kind of turn on a camera and they just random on about some random topic and they do it like twice a week and it's somehow it's a job. Like, I don't know what they do the rest of their day. Like, keep in mind, I'm a little bit of a workaholic. I pretty much sit here and only do this in my life, and that's because it's what I enjoy, though. Obviously, I'm not saying, oh, poor me, look at me, I have to make fantasy. I do it because I love it. And now let's move this down. We have Hurts off 26 for Mark Ward. Mark Ward goes Hurts, Chase, Barkley. Love that start. And honestly, I think that's a start that you're probably going to be able to get pretty often if Saquon Barkley continues to slide in ADP, which is just crazy to think about, but that's so damn exciting, right? That's so damn exciting. Okay. Deebo Samuel off the board here at 28. Kurt says, Flock, reach out to Mr. Beast. Try to get a high-stakes draft going worth the 18. Honestly, I would put my life savings on the line if that would mean I could. That is such a good. Thank you, my man. I'm going to message him and somehow try to get this done. Here's what we're going to do, okay? When we get closer to the start of the season, when we're in August and a lot of people are watching these videos and fantasy football becomes a thing, I'm going to tweet at Mr. Beast and I'm going to say, join a high stakes fantasy football league, something like that. And what I'm going to need for all of y'all is to go under the tweet and say, yeah, do it. And like blow the hell the tweet up. That way he has to see it, right? That's what we'll need. I'll need everybody here I'll need your help, but we're not going to do it right now. I'm going to save y'all. We're going to save it for when we truly need it. And here we're going to go Lamar Jackson, pick 35. Like, how the hell could I take Keenan Allen over Lamar Jackson? Would never do that. Okay. No, but that's such a good idea. If we could get Mr. Beast on a video and I could title it Playing Mr. Beast in a Fantasy Football League or Drafting Against, if I could do, oh my gosh. That video could have like 500,000. That video may have 1 million views. Okay, Justin Fields off the board at pick 37. Interesting spot. My favorite player here is Travis Etienne. I am really never drafting Keenan Allen in round 3. But if we were to try to come up with a unique build that not everybody else is going to have, we could go ahead. We could take Keenan Allen here, and maybe it's unique from the rest of the field. But we'll see. I would actually rather have ETN. I'd rather have Judy. I'd rather have Christian Watson. If we weren't having to just balance exposures across like 500 teams we're going to draft this offseason, then maybe we don't go Keenan Allen. If we didn't have to consider like making a unique build, we definitely don't go Keenan Allen. But I think it does matter a bit here. Now we have ETN, Mike Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs all off the board. Brandon says all 13-year-olds would be playing fantasy next year. So I know that's like a stereotype with Mr. Beast's videos and everything, is they are primarily geared towards kids, right? I mean, that's why he sells chocolate bars, right? You sell what your audience likes. That's why I'm on flockfantasy.com selling fantasy football rankings. You sell what your audience likes. But if you watch some of the more recent Mr. Beast videos, they are legitimately some of the best videos you could ever watch. Like, I would highly recommend everybody, even though they are geared towards kids, watching the video ages like 1 through 100 battling or whatever, something along those lines. I don't know exactly what it is. You'll see the title, 1 versus 100, you know. And that video was so well done that I showed it. Like, I had like all my family at my house one day a couple of weeks ago, like my grandparents, my parents and everything, played them that video, and it was like everybody enjoyed it, you know? Yeah. Sumo Bro says those are such, yeah, I watch every single Mr. Beast video. I mean, one, because I try to learn from the man. The man is obviously a freaking genius. But two, I mean, like that recent video was a good video. Travis coming out says, finally signed up for Underdog with code FLOCK, LOL. Thank you so much, my man. Literally nothing supports this live stream. Nothing supports this channel more. Thank you. Thank you so much. That is the reason why this can be my full-time job, why I can find the motivation to come out here and live stream every single day. Okay. Now we have Hopkins off 46, London off 47. God, y'all just got me. Y'all had me daydreaming. Now there's some dreams that I have, like, be awesome to somehow find a way to go on like Rogan and having like, now I never even would have thought like to try to get in a fantasy football league with Mr. Beast, but we're going to try. Okay. We are going to try. Twinny says he's quite literally the best YouTuber of all time. Oh, it's definitely. I mean, regardless of if you like him or not, and obviously, like I said, he gears his stuff towards kids, you have to respect someone that starts with literally nothing and builds an empire. You know what I mean? Like, if you start with nothing and do it yourself, that's someone that I 100% look up to. Okay, so let's swing this back over. Ayuk off 51. Not drafting a lot of Ayuk here. Let me see how much Brandon Ayuk I have at this point. I have 7% Brandon Ayuk. It seems like I haven't drafted the man in a month, but I guess maybe earlier on when he was a little bit cheaper, we were taking him. It seems like I honestly expected to have way fewer shares of Brandon Ayuk than that. 7% is a lot more than I thought. Okay, Greg, wait, what? This team here with a red badge. A red badge means they've done 1,000 underdog drafts. This team here with the red badge goes through and takes Greg Dulcich at pick 52. Dear God, ladies and gentlemen. Dear God. Oh, I guess this is going to push down a value to us, right? Right now we're sitting with Lamar, Bijan, Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen. Elixir says time traveler. Yes, if Greg Dulcich is a top 3 tight end this next year, we can come back to this and we can confirm the man is a time traveler. Kiwi Cat goes Kenneth Walker. I 100% would have taken Kenneth Walker if he would have fallen to us. Aaron Jones off the board, 56. Eugenio says must have been queued. 100% was queued. Okay, Dobbins off. We'll take Godwin. I definitely prefer Godwin over the other guys in this range. This team here only has 1 quarterback and 3 running backs, 0 wide receivers so far through this draft. So I think we're going to assume that they kind of have to take a wide receiver here, right? They go Hollywood Brown. As well as Mike Evans. Do we take George Kittle or Alexander Madison? I kind of like round 6 George Kittle, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you could see George Kittle being not the tight end 1 overall in fantasy for the entire season. But what you could see with George Kittle is him going out there and being the tight end 1 in any individual week, which is something that we're definitely looking for in these best ball tournaments, trying to find that upside in weeks 15, 16, 17, of course. Okay, now JSN off the board, 64. Madison goes 65. So, yeah, it looks like other people like the Kittle selection as well. I mean, we took Kittle in the last draft. I feel like we have a decent amount of George Kittle just because the price point's so... I think it's very reasonable. Of course, I'm an idiot. I could be wrong, but... Yeah, I have Kittle in 12% of drafts. I've also always liked George Kittle. I've always wanted to root for him. Now, what will feel very painful is if all of a sudden Brock Purdy is somehow, by the grace of God, the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, nobody in their right mind would expect it, but if somehow that were to happen, and then we get a George Kittle massive season with Brock Purdy, I feel kind of bittersweet, right? We have Sam Darnold out here in the chat telling us Brock Purdy will not be the starting quarterback. Yes, Sam Darnold at practice watching Trey Lance every single day. And Brock Purdy now coming out upset with us. I'm sorry, my man. I'm sorry. Sorry for both of y'all. Lance will be the guy, okay? Lance will be the guy. Let's move this over. Damian Pierce off the board at 70. Michael Pittman goes 71. I cannot stay up taking Michael Pittman, but we would just draft Michael Pittman as he falls down boards. So let's move this down. Kyle Pitts goes 72. I definitely would have taken Kyle Pitts if he would have made it to us, obviously. Now, really the only thing we have to think about is if Treylon Burks falls to 83, do we take Treylon Burks? That's the first question that we have to ask. The second question we have to ask is, would we consider going Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, one of these Baltimore Ravens wide receivers to pair up with Lamar Jackson? Generally, it's not something I want to do. Generally, it's not something that I'm going for. But it is what it is, right? Okay. Looks like, yeah, people are wanting us to go with one of those receivers. It's just hard in my mind. Like, I know when we take Lamar, we've already bet on the Ravens, blah, blah, blah. We need to go ahead and we need to bet that the Ravens passing offense is better than expected. We maybe need to take Bateman. I don't know. I mean, Lamar Jackson's a quarterback I'm fine having unstacked because he can go out there and have a week with 60 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. T-God says just pair up Odell in the late rounds. The thing is with even Odell, I mean, obviously I've loved this player historically, but this year I don't even love the price point of Odell Beckham Jr. No. Darren Waller off 76. Is this the Burks team? They go Dotson 77. So just see how far Burks falls. Does Burks make it to us at 83? And if he does, would we take him? Now, we also have to keep in mind the team that's picking between us. So Zay Flowers there is going to be picking at 84, 85 between our selections. They have Fields, Chubb, Henry, Najee, Hollywood, and Mike Evans. So I think we can assume that they more likely than not are looking to go wide receiver there, pick 84 and 85, or at least one of those selections. So we will need to keep that in mind with our decision here. Brock asking how many quarterbacks we're taking with Lamar. Most likely only one other quarterback. Now, if we were to take 3 quarterbacks, it's going to be on a build that like we pass on everybody in the middle rounds and our last quarterbacks are like Lance and Desmond Ridder or Lance and Baker, like something like that. But we'll see. We'll see. Deshaun Watson goes 81. I don't want to say too much. Elijah Moore off the board. I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to take Treylon Burks. The reason being is if you were looking at this tournament in particular, about 60,000 teams were drafted before DeAndre Hopkins signed with the Tennessee Titans. So in general, you're going to be looking at Treylon Burks as a wide receiver that in the context of the overall tournament is a pretty strong value considering his ADP. Now, with that being said, if a new underdog tournament drops and Treylon Burks all of a sudden is inappropriately priced where he does fall down to going in round 7 and round 8, then at that point, maybe we're not getting that ADP value in that individual contest, and maybe we're not inclined to go Treylon Burks here. But in this kind of format, I think it makes sense to pick up a little bit of that ADP value. And then we're going to get very lucky to have David Montgomery make it back around to us at pick 86. I think it was pretty much best case scenario. Best case scenario there. Okay. Nick says, definitely like yours and Mark's teams over mine in this draft. So Nick so far is the guy at 8 who won $75,000. I think y'all know by now, but he's gone with A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf through the first 3 rounds. Can't blame me at all for those. Then Gibbs pick 41, Aaron Jones 56, Alexander Madison, DeAndre Swift. I really like that team, my man. Yeah, I really like that team. Then Mark at pick 2 has Chase, Barkley, Hurts, London, Hawkinson, Pittman, Goddard. Yeah, Mark, beautiful team. Mark's my favorite team here. I mean, I think it's a unique build. I don't think many people are going to be going through and like pairing up, say, Hawkinson and Goddard. The same time you get Chase and Barkley together, which doesn't seem like it should be allowed. So I really like it. Really like it. Now you have Isaiah Pacheco going 91. Great value of Pacheco per usual. Let's move this down. Mark says, if only this was a Best Ball Mania 4 team. Yeah. Still. If you win the puppy, it's not the $3 million in Best Ball Mania, but it's still $75K. Let's move this down. Javonte off the board, 95. Solid Jenkin coming out with the donation. Thank you so much. Says, in a 10-team redraft PPR, what do you think is the sweet spot for my draft? My heart says 4 or 5 to get the best overall 1-2 combo. If it's like a regular 10-team redraft PPR format, I do think at that point, CMC, Eckler, Kelsey are in the same tier as Jefferson, Chase. If you have to start, say, 3 wide receivers and then 2 flex spots, then at that point, I think you have Jefferson and Chase in their own tier. So in general, I'd be looking at a tier of 5 players if it's going to be a league where you start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, my friend. So yeah, as long as you have that top 5 pick in that format. If you have to start more flexes or more wide receivers, then wide receivers become more appealing, and you need to be moving Chase and Jefferson to their own tier. Okay, Dylan off the board. Super well-balanced start, right? Like, we're not sitting here hoping that anything in particular happens for us. We have Bijan, David Montgomery at running back. Wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Treylon Burks. Quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson. Tight end, we have George Kittle. Okay. Let's move this down. Thomas Sutton falling at wide receiver. Sharps goes. Zach Charbonnet definitely going to be someone that we are looking at. Oh, I didn't even notice that team took Rachaad White, James Conner. So hell, that team now has 5 running backs with Chubb, Henry, Najee, Rachaad White, James Conner. Super running back heavy team, and we can assume that they can't take another running back through the rest of this. Now, do they know that? I don't know. So, like, it's always risky, especially if someone doesn't have a badge, like they haven't done 1,000 underdog drafts or whatever. Or maybe they think they can take a 6 running back when they went running back round 1, 2, 3, and then running backs in rounds 7 and 8. But Sky Moore goes 103. Richardson 104. P. Ryan off. Y'all know I wasn't hoping for P. Ryan. I think we assume that this team, between our selections, if they have an idea what's going on, they have to go wide receiver, right? Dak goes. I'm going to take Thomas under the assumption this team goes wide receiver, plus trying to get a little bit of a unique build here, getting Thomas 13 picks past ADP, even if I hate his ADP. Odell goes. Do I want Boyd or Freiermuth? I'm going to go Freiermuth. I understand Boyd's the ADP value, but at the same time, similar to what we did in the last draft, I just really like only having to take 2 tight ends with George Kittle and then someone in this tier, whether that's Pat Freiermuth or David Njoku. I think it makes a lot of sense for us to go in that direction. So yeah, now running back, we have Bijan Robinson, David Montgomery. Wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Treylon Burks, Michael Thomas. Tight end, we have George Kittle, Pat Freiermuth. Quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson. I really like this team. Don't have a lot of correlating pieces, which isn't great, but I don't know. Brock says, Mason, you didn't want to pair White with Godwin. That was not nearly important enough for me to take Rachaad White over Burks there. Okay. Damian Harris, Brian Robinson off the board. I've said a couple times, Brian Robinson generally is my favorite round 10 value. Okay. Tyler Boyd off. Tyler Boyd falls a considerable amount. I mean, Boyd had an ADP of 103. Very rarely you're going to see Boyd fall this far. Fox Break says, can you explain how you make it into the playoffs? Are you just playing against the guys you drafted for the first 14 weeks? Yes. So in this tournament, we're going to be going up against these 11 other drafters for the first 14 weeks. Then the top 2, I believe, in the puppy tournament advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament, where then you're put into brackets. And I believe it's the top 2 in each bracket. In the majority of tournaments, this one, the number may be a little bit different, but the top 2 in each bracket advance through the rounds until you get to round 17, and that's going to be the overall final for the tournament. And that's how you get like first place, second place, third place, and then obviously the places go all the way down the line to thousands of places. But yeah, it's exactly it, my friend. Yes says, is it head-to-head every week? No, not head-to-head any weeks. It's overall scoring. So every single week, your lineup score will be added on. So if you drop, say, 160 points week 1, and you have 160 points all the way down the line, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, and then it's the 2 highest scoring teams in your league advance to that fantasy football playoff tournament. Okay. Rock Bottom says, is the grouping the playoffs just random? Yes, I believe so. If it's not random, that's something that I am not aware of. And that would probably be something I need to figure out. It would be cool if they had it like the highest scores get put with like the lowest scores, if they can somehow figure that out, like how to do that. I guess you would have to like balance it evenly. I don't know. I don't know exactly how you would do that. I'm assuming it's just random. Okay, Daniel Jones off the board, 121. Cousins goes 120. Super balanced team. I think we can do anything but tight end, right? We're not really looking to take a tight end here. It's going to be essentially QB, running back, wide receiver. Quarterbacks, that'll be there when we're up on the clock. You'll have Jared Goff, Russell Wilson. Goff, maybe you can make an argument. We have David Montgomery. They correlate somewhat. In reality, not really. So probably not even looking quarterback here. And considering the fact that we only took 2 tight ends, I think we could possibly get away with taking a third quarterback. It's not something we want to do when we take Lamar Jackson, but I think it's something that we possibly could do. Okay. Elijah Mitchell off the board. Russ goes. Okay. What are we wanting? What are we wanting here? Jamal goes 127. So really the only running backs in play now are Devon Achane and Jalen Warren. We are completely capable of taking 6 running backs with this build when through the first 10 rounds, we only took 2 with Bijan Robinson, David Montgomery. Romeo Doubs off the board, 128. Luck box on the clock. Devon Achane off the board. I don't want to say too much until we're actually on the clock. Going back to what we were talking about previously, this team here, you pretty much assume they're only looking wide receiver tight ends. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab Nico Collins as we don't need a tight end. We're getting Nico Collins here, 12 picks past ADP. Rondale Moore, 138. I'm sorry, 132. Kyler Murray goes as well. We'll take Darnell Mooney as well. Now, what's interesting is once we take the 7th wide receiver here in Darnell Mooney, there's a pretty strong argument to be made that we don't need to take another tight end through the rest of this draft. I'm really surprised that that team there decided to go with the Rondale Moore. Actually, no, that shouldn't be too surprising, right? What I would have done if I were them, I would have gone Rondale Moore, Darnell Mooney to pair up Darnell Mooney with Justin Fields and try to force Kyler Murray to fall back around. But I mean, they had pretty much every Arizona Cardinal there. Now, I have not done this in weeks, so please excuse my rudeness, but it is 8:30. I have not eaten in about 10-ish hours. I am starving. I need to go eat dinner. What I'm going to do from now on, now that it looks like we're going to be possibly doing 4 drafts a night as we're getting closer to the season, is I'll probably start these live streams off at like 5 or 5:30 Central instead of 6 p.m. Central. That way we don't have to leave 15 minutes early again in a live stream. That way I can actually eat dinner at a reasonable time. But this will probably have been our last draft in this stream, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry. Of course, we're going to be getting in drafts every single day until 2024. And of course, if you want to draft with us in one of these live streams, now is the best time to do so with the puppy tournament being open. It's a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. First place, $75,000. Second place, $40,000. Nick in the live chat won this for $75K last year. But since it's only a $5 buy-in, definitely the best place to try out Underdog Fantasy. Also, now's the best time because you also have the free Patrick Mahomes line up until July 22nd. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. If you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com with a link in the live chat and description. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really do appreciate y'all and really do hope I get to see you in the live stream tomorrow night.